Good afternoon, everyone. This is Anuja Srivastav, your host, working as a wealth advisor at AIF and PMS Advisors. I take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Vikas Agrawal, Managing Director and CEO at AIF and PMS Advisors. Mr. Vikas has over 16 years of experience in the industry, and prior to captaining his own ship, he was working in Motilal Oswal Private Wealth as a Senior Vice President. At AIF and PMS Advisors, we provide a professional platform for private wealth management services in India. We focuses on client centricity, trust, integrity, transparency, and expertise in advisory and execution. Today, we are starting our second session of Ask the Expert series with none other than Mr. Vaibhav Sanghvi, co-CEO, Avendus Capital Public Markets Alternate Strategies LLP. Mr. Weber has an overall work experience of 18 years with deep domain expertise in hedge funds. He joined Avendus in 2016 and is currently the co-CEO for Avendus Capital Public Markets Alternate Strategies LLP based in Mumbai. As part of his role, he is the lead portfolio manager for all its funds and holds a track record of outperforming markets across cycles. His expertise in generating risk-adjusted returns in equities across strategies has played a key role in Avendus being able to secure its position as the largest onshore hedge fund in India. Mr. Weber has made a significant contribution to the development of AIF in India, being an advisor to a member of various industries bodies. A frequent commentator on market and AIF, he pioneers conversations and dialogues that shape the future of AIF industry. Prior to joining Aventis, Mr. Weber worked with Embit Investment Advisors as a managing director, where he was responsible for driving their hedge fund business. During his 8 year stint with the firm, he successfully managed and largest onshore Indian hedge fund with an exemplary track record. Before Embit, he worked for 3 years with DSP Merrill Lynch Strategic Risk Group and was responsible for managing their proprietary investments in equity amounting to USD 1 billion. Mr. Weber started his career in 2000 with HDFC Bank, where he was a part of the equity and private banking team. During his 5 year tenure, he invested in equities that delivered returns higher than benchmark every single year. Mr. Weber is a chartered accountant and has graduated from Narsi Monji College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai. I over to you, Mr. Vikas.
Yeah, thank you, Anuja. So, as you know, at AIF and PMS Advisors, it is our endeavor to organize this knowledge-based series. So, this is for the second time we are organizing this. So, today is a very, very special day because we have Mr. Vaibhav Sanghvi with us. At this point of time, I think investor community as a whole is highly confused because we are witnessing huge amount of volatility in the equity markets. And if you look at, there are very, very few managers who makes money on both the sides. And I'm glad to have Mr. Vaibhav with us. So Mr. Vaibhav and his team has almost a decade of experience in terms of generating consistent alpha over a period of last 17 years as a team. So today, we would like to have a more detailed conversation with Vaibhav. So, hi Vaibhav, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, all well. Welcome to the show of Ask the Expert.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Yeah, so Vaibhav, you are a chartered accountant. So let me begin by asking you a personal question. So what made you to get into hedge funds industry?
I think, it wasn't a targeted kind of hedge fund industry experience. What happened was basically, there was always a passion for equities, right? And, post being a chartered accountant, you are very conversant with reading of financial statements and balance sheets, including balance sheets. So, that there was a knack of doing research, reading companies, understanding markets, and precisely the reason why, I entered equity markets. Luck has its way and destiny, of course, played its own part where, while I was in Merrill Lynch, it gave us an opportunity of having exposed to one of the biggest proprietary desk in the globe, which worked on that kind of hedge fund philosophy, right? And that is where we got our exposure into the long short strategies. At that point in time, if I remember, long short was a completely new ball game, at least for Indian markets, where everybody was convincingly investing into the markets only on one side, which is a long only side. An early experience after 2005 and 6 helped us establish this whole hedge fund track record. And surprisingly, we also did witness that the long short strategies, as we kind of applied, did extremely well over a period of time. So yeah, it was a combination of luck playing its part, and of course the passion of equities, which was always there.
Sure, sure. So, Vaibhav, you played very, very important role in terms of shaping up the AIF industries per se in India. So what is your sense? How do you see AIF industry shaping up further in India?
No, of course. I mean, AIF industry per se in India has a tremendous scope of growing. And let me kind of highlight a few reasons as well. Globally, AIF, especially the hedge fund industry and the category 3 fund industry, is close to about $3.5 trillion globally. And if you ask me in terms of the asset allocation globally to alternate investment funds, the portfolios have been allocated anywhere between 10 to 15% of their AUMs, right, on an overall asset allocation. Now, in India, SEBI came out with these forward-looking guidelines in 2012. And subsequent to that, we saw a quick succession of success in terms of launching of funds and some amount of garnering of AUMs as well. Being it was new, people took some time to educate investors what all these strategies are about. But once they were educated is when we saw some amount of traction coming into the AIF industry. The only dampener on this industry till date has always been about the treatment of taxes. And once we are able to sort out with the regulators, after convincing them or educating them, saying that what's happening on the global scheme of things is something which we should apply in India as well, is when we do think that the growth can be really exponential. And definitely there is a tremendous scope of this industry actually growing very consistently.
Yeah, thank you. So, Vaibhav, now that you've spent almost 20 years in the markets and you've seen, I think, 3 cycles, if I'm right. So, what is your experience about the market? If you could throw some more light on that.
No, I think every day in the market teaches us, right? We have, as you rightly mentioned, right from 2000 .com bust to 2008 global financial crisis, to 2015-16 when this China devaluation kind of happened, and now pandemic. We've seen many cycles, we've seen many time periods, of markets. The underlying thing of this market is, and with investors, and I would correlate it with the investor behavior as well, is basically that while everybody keeps on educating about the convincing power or probably educate about the long-term benefits of investing into equities, rarely we have found that happening actually. I can model statistics saying that from 2001 to 2019-20, if somebody would have invested into equities, they would got a fantastic 12.5% equity returns on a CAGR basis, which is not a bad amount at all. Having said that, how many people would have made that, right? What essential variable here is basically that people in times of volatility, in times of uncertainty, in times of panic, tends to get influenced by the shorter term news and tends to kind of go out of their well established investments which are for long term, right? So what effectively we've done by this learning is basically, yes, of course, I mean, it is an emotional thing, and if it's a behavioral thing, which, to be very honest, from an investor's perspective, is very difficult to take it out. So thus we have defined, or whenever we kind of make our products or make our strategies, we try to see to that we address the risk aspect of investing first, so that we can have those investors for a long period of time without getting jostled or without getting perturbed about the market movement. So our focus has always been on risk adjusted returns, and last 20 years of various cycles has taught us that if you can control your risk, if you are managed to mitigate some amount of risk, the ability for you to stay in the investments is very, very high, and that is very, very beneficial for your ultimate goal, financial goals which you are looking for.
Sure. One more thing, if you look at your team at Avendus, I would say it is the most stable team. I mean, you and Andrew, I think, worked together in your previous organization as well. And I was looking at the track record of long short strategy or track record along with Andrew. There's not even single year or single quarter where you all have generated negative returns for the investors. And yet it is the same team. So what is the mantra behind it?
The mantra, while it looks very easy, the crux of the matter is basically that we are a team with an environment which is absolutely free in communication. The ideas are welcomed. There's a very healthy debate about your ideas, the market views, the companies, and so on and so forth. And there's an environment where people can freely exchange views, news, etc. Right? This is something we encourage, very, very, forcefully, in the sense that we don't want people to remain within their shells. We want people to exchange views and ideas. So that is one. Two, of course, for the last 15 years, me, myself, and Andrew have been together, and you rightly mentioned that no single year has been negative returns. What I would attribute that to is basically the flexibility in our approach. Right? We are very, very sure about one aspect that we can never know everything about the markets, right? No matter what it is. I mean, if somebody comes and tells me that I know everything about the markets, I think he or she or whoever the person is kind of talking in air. So we are very, very cognizant of the fact that there is always a scope of improvement. There is always scope of knowing more. And there is always a scope of understanding that you have gone wrong. You may have gone wrong into your trades, into your portfolio positioning, etc. Once you have that view, you will always look at the market in a different way, trying to learn more at every given point in time. And when that kind of happens, is basically because of your flexibility in approach in saying that, hey guys, we've gone wrong. Let me kind of first get out very quickly. Okay. So we have no qualms in saying that, guys, we are not understanding the market. We will not invest. We will go into cash. We have no issues with that, but we will protect money. That is what our mantra is, right? So the flexibility in approach, risk, which is looked, as the first step of investing rather than returns, and the consistency in terms of the team, and everybody knows each other. So they are very fluent in communication as well. So all these three combined, is a winning mantra for the consistent returns.
Amazing, excellent. So my compliments to you and your team.
Thank you.
Yeah. So other thing is, so at Avendus, how do you run long short strategy? If you could throw some more light for our investors, and at the same time, if you could also give us more sense in terms of what's your investment philosophy as a house.
Sure. So let me first kind of tell you our investment philosophy. As I just mentioned this example about the Nifty returns, which is a 12% fantastic returns over 2001 to 2020. But we all know that people would have come at the peaks and redeemed at the bottom, right? Purely because people get panicked with the shorter term news flow. Why does that happen is basically people can't see the drawdowns into their portfolios, or can't mitigate the risk into their portfolios. So our mantra here is to offer products, offer strategies which are risk adjusted return products, okay, where we look at the risk first, and when you look at the risk first, mitigate the risk, the returns automatically come over a period of time, right? So for us, I can not blowing my trumpet, but I'm saying my team is one of the best in terms of assessing various different types of risks into the markets, and trying to study those risks and try to mitigate each aspect of the risk in our strategies, right? So that's one of the most important aspect, that we look at risk first and try to deliver risk adjusted return strategies. Now the risk can be of different forms, can be of market risk, can be of business risk, and so on and so forth. So we have different strategies, catering to different kind of risk mitigation, and that is why we've been able to do it very consistently. In terms of the strategies, there are primarily three strategies which we are currently running. One is the Avendus Absolute Return Fund, which is aimed at very consistent return, aimed at about 6.57% post-tax, post-fee returns year on year, with a volatility which is close to about 4-5%, and with a drawdown profile which is minimal. So in the last 8 years of our experience, 7 years of our experience in managing this strategy, we have been negative only 6 months in 8 years, and the maximum negative being 0.95, which is less than 1%, in any of those kind of markets, right? So here, my primary aim is to protect money, and secondary is to generate that return about 6.5 to 7%, which is exactly suitable to the debt plus kind of investment with the investors are looking for in terms of the risk return profile.
Yeah.
The second strategy which we run is basically the enhanced return fund. And in enhanced return fund, it is benchmarked to Nifty 50, wherein my objective is to generate equity plus return with equity minus risk. When I talk about risk, we measure risk in terms of the volatility at which we generate returns with. So for example, in our Enhanced Return Fund 2 series, which is currently on, we've been outperforming the Nifty, but at the same time, the volatility is 300 to 400 basis points lower than Nifty, which is again a perfect example of reducing the risks while increasing our returns as well. So that's the second, and both these two products, both Absolute Return product and Enhanced Return product, is concentrated towards addressing the market risk aspect of investing into equities. Last but not the least is our ESG product, which actually addresses the business risk aspect or tail risk of a business aspect into investing. And the whole concept is basically there is to invest into companies which take all the stakeholders together, right from environment to social to governance in terms of your minority shareholders as well. So it's a long only strategy, but concentrated on addressing or mitigating the business risk aspect of investing. Thus, to conclude, whatever we offer are all risk adjusted return strategies. We want the investors to be comfortable investing into those strategies so that they have confidence for long-term investing, thereby actually trying to make some good money to achieve their financial goals.
Sure. Vaibhav, one observation from my end is that, see, as an advisor, whenever I reach out to most of the HNI clients or ultra HNI clients, the long short category per se in India is not as popular as it is in some of the developed economies. And you are much ahead of the time, and you've been running this strategy. You're one of the largest managers in India, managing about more than 4,500 to 5,000 odd crores. Can you throw some more light in simple terms for the investor, for them to be able to understand more about how long short strategy works, A, and B, how beneficial it is for them when they don't have any views in the markets? And more so, how do you position this product so that they would start evaluating this?
Of course. So let me give you one example. Right. Again, a simple example of an index. In 2007, markets delivered fantastic returns. In 2008, market went down by 55-60% in the year. So if somebody would have invested in 2007, may have taken a ride on the upside in 2007, but in 2008 would have lost from the top, to a great massive extent, right? Thereby, for the 2 years or 3 years, whatever it may be, the returns were pretty much, pretty dull in terms of the absolute number. What long short does is basically a long short strategy has an ability to buy securities or stocks which are fundamentally sound and which you would want to own for a longer period of time. At the same time, don't stop there. Also has an ability to short stocks where our view is negative in terms of the sectors and in terms of the individual stocks as well. Now, the view negative can be for various reasons, including your broken business model, including weaker corporate governance, technical factors, etc. But what we effectively do by having a long and a short portfolio simultaneously is to a great extent mitigate the market risk aspect of investing. Okay, and let me give you one example that will make very, very clear. Okay, if I'm buying, say, a particular stock at 100 rupees, right, and selling a B particular stock at, say, 200 rupees. Okay, if the market goes up, and my fundamental analysis is right, stock A, while the market goes up, will do better than stock B, which is a fundamental broken business model, which will not do better either when the market goes up or market goes down. Okay, now if I have a long position on stock A and a short position on stock B, then irrespective of where the market goes, upside or downside, I keep on making that kind of consistent alpha, consistent returns over a period of time, right? And that's the beauty of the long short product, wherein you will have a combination of long stocks and short stocks simultaneously into the portfolio, thereby mitigating many risks of the market per se, right? With respect to your question in terms of why we've not seen that kind of long short strategy flourish into India, my sense is basically because of the lack of talent as well. Now, as I mentioned to you right at the beginning that as destiny would have played, or luckily what we were exposed in 2005 and 6 to this whole long short strategy purely because we were part of a global hedge fund type environment. And that is why we kind of improvised in the Indian framework. And because of the experience which we have over 10 to 15 years in this strategy is where we are able to do it on a very consistent basis, right? For somebody new to do this and adapt this strategy, it's very difficult to kind of come to terms with this volatile markets, right? And that is one of the main reasons why we are not seeing much of the talent which is being able to come into this kind of strategy.
So subsequent question to this is, so most of the investors, if you look at, they have an exposure to arbitrage fund. So technically, how do you differentiate with a long short and arbitrage?
Absolutely. So they are completely different products. Arbitrage generally, an arbitrage return product is basically a product which captures the carrying cost of any particular security. So let me explain again here. Say, for example, if you are buying, say, Reliance Industries into cash and selling Reliance Industries into futures, you are only earning the spread between Reliance cash and Reliance futures, correct? You are not taking any kind of directional call, no fundamental view. We are only playing on the carry cost, and that is what your return is. So your return is limited to the carrying cost or the interest rates, to a great extent to the interest rates prevailing into the environment. And precisely the reason why you may see in the last 2 to 3 months, you have seen that arbitrage returns are kind of somewhat down, purely because one, the interest rates have come down, and two, that the overall market futures are trading at a great discount as well. So you are not getting those kind of arbitrage returns. Whereas in case of the long short strategy, it's based on, our strategy is based on fundamental analysis of what we like in the markets, purely in terms of the sectors and the stocks. That is what we will buy into the portfolio, and what we do not like in the markets, which is fundamentally those sectors and stocks which again, with the broken business models, corporate governance, negative catalysts, etc., etc. On a combination basis, we would have into the portfolio. So we are taking our fundamental view, and that is why the scope of better return generating than arbitrage is possible, whereas the risks also are a little higher than your arbitrage fund as well. And that is why we always say it is a debt plus kind of category of investments rather than debt minus.
Sure. So when you go short, Vaibhav, what is the process that you follow going short? Because chances of going wrong on the short side could be even more higher. For example, when market was at all-time high of 12,000 levels, market went down, Nifty went down to an extent of 7,800 levels, and then going short would have been even more difficult. So how do you ensure? What process do you all follow, which basically helps you to protect your investors' money?
No, so what happens is basically, one, there are strict kind of limits under our risk management framework, right? So when you operate a long short product, especially in an absolute return fund, we always mention that the minimum hedge which I'll carry onto the portfolio would be about 30%, right? And what do I mean by the 30% is basically, if I'm deploying say 100 rupees into the equities, then 76 rupees is long and 24 rupees is short, 24 being 30% of 76. Okay, and that's my starting point. I can't go below those levels of hedges at any given point in time, right? So there are a lot of rules which are already defined in terms of the risk management framework around this product, to kind of actively and dynamically manage, those kind of, right? That one part. Two, when I talk about your process, which is extremely important again, is basically our process starts from our investment committee, wherein we kind of frame our view on the markets, and subsequently we try to analyze that from a global perspective, how are the most important variables like the movement of commodities, currencies, interest rates, and an outlook on emerging markets is there, is coming up. Because India being a very important part of that emerging market basket, we need to understand that what is the outlook on the emerging markets. So once that we analyze is when we come to India in terms of analyzing the GDP forecasts and trying to see those sectors which will contribute to that GDP forecasts. We do not stop there. We also kind of extend it to trying to find out which would be the laggards in the sectors for that GDP forecast, right? And then my research team comes out with the best companies in the sectors which we like, and the worst names in the sectors which we do not like, and that forms part of our overall universe. So in terms of the process, there is a very thorough process by which we select our stocks, and overall it kind of encompasses with the tight risk management framework which goes about. And with your question in terms of the short side, which is extremely difficult, what we do is basically that our exposure on the shorts is far lesser in terms of an individual security than on the long position, so that you don't get squeezed out into the markets. And this only happens, we've managed, as I said, this for 15 years, right? And this only comes with that kind of experience of managing short book, which is extremely tough.
Yeah, interesting to know. A lot of insights from you in terms of following processes and going long and short. It's very, very difficult. So I'm sure you have that expertise. Last question from my end, Vaibhav, before we conclude the session is, so what's your house view on the markets at this point of time?
So markets currently are in a very tricky position at this point in time. And let me kind of segregate the view into short term and medium term to long term. With respect to short term, clearly, what do we feel is basically we've run up from about 7,500, 7,700 levels to close to about 10,400 levels, and which is a very, very good rally from the lows. What we are currently seeing is basically the choppiness and the volatility, purely because around the globe, what is happening is basically the wave of infection is not abating, right? We are seeing the infections on the COVID-19 or the coronavirus, continuing to pile up, including India. And we do think that, this is a risk which is under which is kind of, I would say, not taken to the full extent by the market, or have not been kind of factored in fully by the market at this point in time. Why this is happening is purely because all the governments, central bankers across the globe are in an environment of providing liquidity left, right, and center. Now, Fed from balance sheet size of about $3.5 trillion is now close to about $7.5 trillion within probably 2 to 3 months, right? Which is a tremendous easing in terms of the liquidity. So we have liquidity which is very, very strong on the global scheme of things, and that is why you are seeing that global markets are kind of held up right up there, and which is to an extent covering the shorter term risks, right? So my sense is basically in the short term you might see the market to be choppy, volatile, and difficult to trade. Whereas in the medium to long term, what we do definitely think is basically once the vaccine or treatment is out, is when you would see a V-shaped recovery probably on the markets. Of course, on an immediate basis, you won't see the economy recover. The data would continue to be bad, but markets will factor in the next 2 years pretty quickly once you have that clarity that, hey guys, these things are kind of probably stabilizing, and from there onwards you will see a sizable, sustainable recovery coming, for the next couple of years at least. So that's how I would sum up my view. Shorter term would be volatile, choppy, and difficult to trade, whereas the medium to long term, once it stabilizes, once the treatment is out or the vaccine is out, is when you see the recovery pretty much coming onto the markets.
All right, thank you, Vaibhav. It's always pleasure interacting with you. So on behalf of AIF and PMS Advisors, I take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out from your busy schedule and coming and interacting with all of us.
Thank you very much, Vikas. Thank you very much, Vikas, for having me and giving an opportunity to interact with you.
Thank you. All right.
Great.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks.